Guys, BRO standards this weekend, and it's time to do some predictions, right? There's going to be a lot of players, and NA is looking like there's like 388 signups. So, you know, if you're commentating for NA, you guys are going to have fun, all right? Guarantee you that. Gonna be a long day. Gonna be a long day. But let's kind of predict on what ride lines will top and will not top. And I'll kind of limit this to like around 8 ride lines, which is kind of perfect because in my opinion, there's exactly 8, you know, kind of decks that we're gonna see. And they have a very, very good chance at topping the power. Their power level is all very similar. So that's just nice and perfect. So let's kind of go through it. This tier list has some of the set 6 stuff. So we're just gonna put them into the not out section. Apart from that, they're either going to top, they're either going to not top. That's going to be my predictions. Of course, there are definitely going to be some decks that I feel like have a chance of topping, especially in NA when they go down to top 16. But, you know, there's no fence sitting here, right? It's either top or not top, right? So let's go for the predictions. So first off, we have Nirvana. Grade 4 Nirvana. This deck is definitely, I think, has a very, very good shot at topping. You'll probably see at least one, right? I definitely think it's one of the best decks in the format. Very, very scary. Very, very scary to play. And very simple to play, too. It's like game plan is just... It's just easy, and that's good, right? You want a nice, stable game plan for like 8 to 9 rounds to make it in the top cut. So, Nirvana, definitely there. Especially with, like, the other decks. You know, Bastion and Magnolia getting hit, right? Perfect storm. It's the perfect storm for a bunch of good decks to rise up. Eugene, though, definitely will not top. I think it's like meme city, right? So going to the not top section. I don't think Overlord will top either. We don't have the PR for it, right? If we had the PR, I might put it there. I might not. I still think like Overlord is like a tier below like basically everything else. So yeah, it's gonna go into the won't top section. Sagar, like Sagar is one of the decks I'd like consider to be if there was like a mid section, right? Like just a might top section. This is where I'd put it because last time I said it wouldn't top, and then someone in AO top with it. But this time, I don't know. I feel like now that Sagar has gotten like more tools to be more aggressive early, there is a chance that it can top. But you know, can it draw its like trick moons and spears and things like that, like 8 rounds? Maybe not. I don't know. So I'm putting it in the won't top section, but it's gonna be one of the ones at the top of the won't top section as well. Same with kind of Tamiura. It's kind of in that mid tier section, but you know, still there are just I have to select 8 decks for like a top 8 cut, and this isn't making it. Jiva is not out yet. Here I'd put Bruce. Okay, Bruce is a deck that I said will top. We saw there was a Vision remote fight tournament like last weekend, right? And Bruce came first, if I recall correctly. It was a best of 3 as well. Although, like Bruce, I consider Bruce, like especially grade 4 Bruce, to be one of the weaker decks out of like the top decks, right? But it still shows results. It's gotten some recent buffs as Megan, so it definitely is pretty scary when it gets its game plan going. I do know that like it seems to be very popular in America as well. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like, you know, we always said like, you know, Bruce, it's kind of out of favor, but then like somewhere in America a Bruce deck shows up. So I feel like Bruce will probably top at least somewhere, especially like top 16, right? Top 16 Bruce I think is there. Not as much as maybe the other decks, but like 1 or 2 I think we'll see it, right? Barrow Magnus as well. Barrow Magnus is very scary. We don't see this deck represented a lot in Japan. It's just not that popular, right? But there are definitely, like, the West definitely favors this deck a lot as well. So I can see this popping in, like, a lot in Europe, right? NA as well. Last BRO was won by a Barrow, and now that the deck is definitely more consistent than before, we can definitely see it do well. So Barrow definitely, I think, has a good chance of topping. But then Greedon and Chaos, these are easy choices. Easy choices, they're not topping second. Drag Jeweled, not out yet. So here comes Bastion. Where is Bastion gonna be, right? So Bastion, last time at BRO, Bastion was relatively pretty good. It was actually like at one of its peaks in terms of power level, I think. But it didn't do well. It actually didn't do well at all, right? It was actually pretty weak. I think so. It was that time when Leeroll first got revealed, right? And people were like going, yeah, the deck's not good. But then people started playing Leeroll and like the deck became good. But then it's still kind of underperformed in BRO previously. And like Bastion Prime, it's a good deck. It's an easy deck. But I feel like it's still not consistent enough when you compare it to the other decks that are available to you. Especially in the Kettle line, where you have like a perfectly good option. So I feel like this is a deck that won't top, right? This, like, if it high rolls supremely, yeah, okay, it might top, right? Because, okay, it lost like Dark Strain, but who cares? Just sack a few off the top, go first a few times, and you can win. If you're lucky, you'll still do well. But I just feel like after its restriction, there's just like better decks to run. There's actually just better decks to run. So I'm gonna put in the won't top. I'm putting in the won't top, close to the mid tier. But yeah, I think I'm putting in the won't top, right? Hexorb, I just think probably won't top as well. PBO, right? I was talking about a Keta deck that was good, right? And PBO is actually really good, in my opinion. And a lot of people have corroborated this. We don't have the PR for PBO, but even Ryan Kai has like won a VMC without the PR. So I feel like just not having the PR is fine. It's actually just fine. The deck is just just does what it wants. It just goes off. It doesn't really care. Its ratios are like very stable. It has draw power. In a way, it's basically just like Bastion, except you're not running like grade 3s all the time, so you can rush better. So I think PBO is an insane pick. I think it's a really, really good deck. And this is basically the replacement for Bastion. Like straight up, just the replacement. I think it's really, really good. So I think it's definitely a will top kind of deck. MLB, just not very good. Let's just put it away somewhere else. Thegra is like kind of like a scuffed Bastion, and since like Bastion is kind of scuffed already, so this is like the double scuff. So I'm just gonna put in the won't top. Youthberg is not out. Sereth isn't, I think, will top. Just like, I think there's a lot of Sereth players, and a lot of people just kind of gravitate to this deck because, you know, look, one of its worst matchups is gone, right? Another one of its worst matchups, which is like Bastion, is also gone. So the field is ripe for Sereth to like kind of do well. And I think like just people bringing the deck, I think it'll do fine. It definitely is one of those topping decks. So let's just put it there. Very easy pick, right? Orfist? Nah, probably not. Probably won't, like very likely won't top. It has Ragus, but I don't think it does enough. And then Gravidia. Okay, Gravidia is definitely a topping deck, right? Definitely a topping deck in my opinion. It's still topping in Japan, right? It's like the deck is so solid. It's just good. It's actually just straight up really, really good. Nothing really much to say. Every single support that comes out is some sort of Gravidia support as well. So I think a lot of people will actually be bringing this deck too, right? Because this deck really hasn't changed. If you were invested in Gravidia World, you can still Gravidia, right? The deck is actually just good. The entire deck is now more solid because you can run less Meteors because you have big Meteor. You also run the Brand Gate Overtrigger, so you just auto-win like every few games. So yeah, like you can 5-rock like every turn and just like randomly destroy opponents. This deck is just, it's fine. It's got the whole package. I think like if you don't know what deck to bring, you're probably just gonna bring Gravidia, right? It's an insane deck. Ava, well, yeah, it's gone here. Easy choice. Hero is not even out yet. Okay, so Magnolia recently got hit, but I think that it won't top. Right? I just think like when you don't have Inlet Pulse, the deck loses just so much power. You have to play like a bunch of different cards that do just like not that much against it. I think it's a not top. Alright? This won't even be in the midsection where I think it has a chance. I think it's just gonna be a not top at all, right? Which is kind of sad. But hey, you know, you can put your Inlet Pulses in another deck. Zorga. Okay, Zorga is actually hard. I actually want to put Zorga in a will top section, but I don't have enough slots. So I have to actually, I'm going to revisit Zorga. Alright, I'm going to revisit Zorga. We'll just keep on putting like Leeroll, we're in top. I think the next deck that will definitely top, I think, is a Kyrie, right? Kyrie, one of the highly considered decks in the format. Pre-hit, pre-restriction of Inlet Pulse. now that the grade 4 Magnolia is gone, this is like the natural second choice with Gravidia, in my opinion. So Kyrie is like an auto kind of top pick. And, you know, I think he'll top. I think he'll top at least once somewhere, right? At least once somewhere. Just to finish out all the rest of the not tops, okay? So Leeroll is definitely not topping. I think a lot of these are just like Ballista 100% for sure. We're top. Powerful, yeah. Friends and Felty Rosa. So we're kind of limited. Let's look at these three, right? Let's look at these three. One of these decks will stay. One of these decks will stay in the tops. So first off, I want to talk about Leeroll, right? I feel like Leeroll is one of those decks that is still good, right? It's still good. It's like basically kind of tier 2 now because there's a lot of other better decks too. But because it has Sentinel Restrict, it's because it just does the 5 attack thing, because it makes like a crit Vanguard line, it still has like scary potential to like randomly take wins. If I didn't have to like kind of put this down, I think this like a Leeroll might be able to just get like one top out of all 3 regions. Out of the possible 32 kind of top slots that we get, I think there might be one Leeroll. But because of that, I think I'm just going to put it in the tops, like the Wone top. But if there was a mid, I'd put it near the top, right? I'll put it in that. So this has a good chance of like my topping and just ruining all my plans. Now I have to decide between Flagberg, because I said I was going to choose 8, right? If I could, like, I have to choose between Zorga Cult and Flagberg, right? And I'm going to actually choose Flagberg because I feel that there are a lot more Flagberg cultists out there who just love the deck and, you know, want to see it succeed. There's been several builds of Flagberg out that have topped tournaments before. So I feel like there is like way more kind of support behind Flagberg than actually Zorga. Though I do think both decks have a pretty decent chance of topping. Flagberg also multi-attacks, which is pretty nice. And also Flagberg gets to use Inlet Pulse. So I feel like those multiple attributes of the deck push it enough that I choose Flagberg over Zorga. Zorga gets Dirty Prison Dragon, but doesn't get Inlet Pulse. That's big. That's actually big. So that's why Zorga goes to the won't top section. Again, if there was like a mid tier, I would just put Zorga there. I think if you've been paying attention to my predictions, right, I seem to rate Zorga relatively high, even though it like never does anything. But yeah, that's basically, I have a Zorga bias, even though I don't play that deck at all. Well, I do play it sometimes. It's just not something that I would just naturally go to and go play it, right? But I think, okay, so I think these eight other decks I will pick to top, not pick to talk. Like, is this TikTok? I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, these are the 8. So I'm pretty solid on a few of these, right? So if I was to do in solid order, right, these 2 are the most solid decks I think will be topping, right? And then I feel like, actually, I'll put it these 3. I think Barrow, I have faith in the Barrow players that they will barrow their way up to the top slots, because there's always some, right? There is always some. The next 3 is like Seraph and like Seraph, PBO, Nirvana. I feel like these are good choices. These are good choices, right? They're great decks. Nothing wrong with them, and there should be enough players, and especially enough good players who will play them top. I think like the one thing is Seraph, I guess, because people are gonna pick between Seraph and Gravidia, right? And I feel like it's a tough pick, but I feel like a lot more people will go into the Gravidia than the Seraph, just because it's like tried and true, right? It's tested, it's confirmed to be good. Seraph, right? You know, old Seraph was like, okay, it's cool. Prison, yeah, that's cool. Pure Light definitely buffs the power level of that quite a lot. So I feel like, yeah, definitely there'll be people more going to the Pure Light line as well. And if they were analyzing the meta, maybe they go, this is a really, really good pick now. I want to take it. And just through that power alone, I think there probably will be at least one top somewhere. And then just like the Nirvana, right? Nirvana, PBO, I think this is just great decks. And then the Faith, right? The Faith and the Play Base, I think for these last 2, right? I definitely think there's the Bruces out there. They'll take it to the top. And then the Flagberg, there is like, whenever I talk badly about Flagberg, right? There's always people complaining, right? So now it's your chance. Now I have faith in you that you will do well with Flagberg. So you know, this is your chance to prove me right. If you guys don't top, my faith in you is shattered, right? I will always put Zorga over you in the future, right? Zorga cultists, rise up, you know, you just gotta prove it, right? So yeah, Flagberg, this is your chance. This is your chance to prove me right. If you hate me, then don't top, right? It's up to you. And yeah, if you guys top, then, you know, Flagberg best deck, right? Flagberg best deck. So let me know what you guys think. Is this correct? Is this wrong? If you were to shuffle around the top 8 here, what would it be? Right? What would it be? Okay? So let me know. I'll see you guys in the next video. All right? Bye.